Hey guys, what's going on? It is Justin here, and I want to briefly go over how to plan a day's worth of eating using the free version of Myfitnesspal. You can also do this in the other tracking apps like Chronometer, LifeSum, and My Macros Plus, but Myfitnesspal seems to be a very popular one, so I'm going to show you how to do that using this one. So this is a technique you can use for planning a day's worth of eating, either for the same day or for the following day. You can even use this to plan a couple days in advance or even an entire week in advance if you like. That's one of my favorite ways to do it. A couple benefits to that. One, it keeps you from having to think about what to eat every single day and logging as you're eating or right after every single meal, which can be a little bit tedious. This way it's already planned, and all you have to do is go into the app and adjust if you've decided to eat something different or if the portion sizes have changed. There's also another great benefit to this. It allows you to see how enjoying all kinds of foods can fit into your diet. You can plan to enjoy a glass of wine or two with some friends or pizza and see how those calories and macronutrients can fit into your goals and your needs, which can be a nice little stress relief and a nice reminder that all foods can fit into our diets. So just a reminder as well too, you'll need a food scale for this. We want to weigh our portions out as often as possible. Estimating and using measuring utensils just isn't an accurate way to assess how much we're actually eating. Even measuring utensils tend to be off. A half a cup of oats typically tends to not be half a cup. It actually ends up being much more when you throw it on a food scale. So just a reminder, we do want to use a food scale and weigh our portions out as often as possible. A couple other things as well too. When you're logging stuff, it might not always give you the option for ounces or grams. It may only give you the measuring utensil amount, say like 1 cup. That is okay. What you can do is you can look on the label of the food, and underneath where it says 1 cup, it'll give you the equivalent in grams or ounces, and you can just throw that amount on the scale. For example, I've got some Greek yogurt in my fridge. 1 cup is about 170 grams, so I would throw 170 grams on the food scale. Also, just a reminder too, you probably don't need to stress too much about throwing non-starchy veggies like broccoli and cauliflower on a food scale, or even a lot of the fruit that we eat. They're going to be low enough in calories where it's probably okay to estimate. If possible, I would throw the fruit on a food scale and the veggies on a food scale if you can, at least for the first couple weeks to help you gauge portion sizes. Fruits in particular, I think would be a good idea, especially with like berries and melons and stuff like that. But again, something you probably don't need to overly stress about, but it is a great practice when you're first logging and trying to make progress. So when you first log into MyFitnessPal, you're going to go over to the bottom right where the 3 dots are and click on More. And you're going to go to Goals, and where it says Nutrition Goals, Calorie, Carbs, Protein, and Fat. You can go ahead and click on that, and it's going to pull up your calorie and macronutrient needs. Again, the macronutrients are carbohydrates, protein, and fat. You can edit these based on the targets that I've given you, or if you have some personal goals that you're aiming for, that's okay too. Just a reminder here, we don't need to hit these numbers perfectly to be successful. All we're looking is for good enough and to be close enough. When we have a target, it's much easier to aim and adjust. And that's all that we're looking for. So instead of looking to exactly hit 2,400 calories, we're going to actually be looking to roughly hit around 2,300 to 2,500. And then again, same for our protein goals. We don't need to hit 180 perfectly to be successful here. We're going to be shooting for more, closer to 175 to 185, or maybe 170 to 180. If you're working with me, we probably won't be tracking or worrying too much about the carbohydrates and fats. Instead, we'll be focusing on calorie intake and protein intake. Those are the 2 most important ones when it comes to steady and consistent weight loss while maintaining strength and muscle mass. So don't stress out too much about those, but it is nice to have those numbers because it can help you a little bit with the planning process. Also, a reminder that we are focusing mostly on building out balanced plates. So we want to try to include a serving of protein with every meal, a serving of veggies, a serving of carbohydrates, and a serving of healthy fats. It doesn't mean you have to include them with every single meal, but it is something that we're striving for, to have these nice, well-rounded balanced plates, so we're getting some good, healthy, nutrient-dense dishes. If you do want to change these numbers, all you have to do is click on it, and again, you can type in the calories you're shooting for. You can click on the macronutrient. These percentages will pop up, and you'll notice underneath where it says protein, the grams change as I change the percentage, so you can go ahead and edit those. I've got it all set up for a nice balanced plate here. To help you with the planning process, you'll know that I've given you this calorie awareness cheat sheet. Little note here, I do recommend doing most of your planning on the desktop or laptop version of these apps. They're usually much easier to plan, plus it's easier to access a lot of the resources that I've given you. But I do know a lot of us spend some time on our phones, and it can be a convenient way to do this, and that is okay. That's why I wanted to show you how to do it on your phones. Plus, there's a bar scan code option, which is fantastic on the phone. So for example here, you saw that I needed about 180 grams of protein per meal or so. Well, if I'm looking at my cheat sheet and looking at chicken breast here, I know that's 110 calories per 100 grams and about 23 grams of protein. So that tells me I'm going to need close to around 300 grams, again, give or take, of chicken breast at the meal. Probably less than that, because I'm going to be getting, as you'll see, I'm going to be getting protein from other things too, like grains and vegetables. But it can just be a nice, this cheat sheet can be a nice way to help you plan your meals. And again, there's veggies, carbohydrates, and fats in here to help you with the planning process. So I will click back off of that. I'm going to go back to the diary. And if you remember, my goal is about 2,400 calories per day. If I'm eating at about 3 meals a day, it tells me it's about 800 calories per meal. You remember my goal was about 180 grams of protein. That tells me about 60 grams of protein per day. Again, give or take, not trying to be perfect, just good enough. I personally like to eat about 3 meals a day, and one smaller snack seems to work well for me. So that tells me I can probably get a little bit less than 800 calories per meal and 60 grams of protein per day with that added snack in there. So I'll just keep that in mind as I'm planning. At the top it says today. I'm going to go over to tomorrow, and I've got this nice blank template here to do some planning. We'll consider this first round a draft. So I'm going to go into add breakfast, and I am going to scan a barcode. I think that this is such a great option in the phone. I love Greek yogurt, so I'm going to go ahead and add that. You can see my dog here sleeping on the couch. I'm going to scan that barcode for Greek yogurt. It says the serving size is 0.8 of a cup. I'm going to change that to ounces or grams. Again, if you don't have that option, that's okay. You can still throw it on the label. It'll give you the equivalent of cups into ounces and grams. So 6 ounces here, 16 grams of protein. It's got some fat carbs, 150 calories. Cool, log it. Not as much protein as I would need for the day. You remember I'm aiming for, close to 60-ish. So I'm going to add some protein to it. I'm going to add a food, scan a barcode. I've got this protein powder. I'm going to scoop this up and add it to it. It's PE Science Select Snickerdoodle. I'm going to mix that right in my Greek yogurt. It's fantastic if you haven't done it. 1 scoop is about 31 grams. So I'm going to log that, 24 grams of protein. That tells me I'm getting some good protein in. So I've got some decent protein already logged. You'll see next to breakfast it says 260 calories. So I know I'm short of those calorie needs for me. So I'm going to be adding some more food. I don't have any carbs yet, so I'm going to add some. I really like raspberries, so I'm going to add some raspberries here. Search it. Right next to it where it says search results, you see this little shield with an arrow that says only. That is for verified versions, and those are going to be more accurate versions of the food, ones that have been verified for calorie intake and macronutrient intake for each food. So you want to use those as often as possible. Sometimes it's not going to be something that you can do, and that's okay. So I'm going to click on raspberries here, eating some raw raspberries. 100 grams, but that's not very many calories or carbs, so I'm going to bump it up to 200 grams. Cool. So I've got carbs, protein. I know I need some fat. I like mixing in some nut butter, and I also like eating foods with my name on it, so I'm going to add Justin's almond butter to it. Cool. Again, you can search for verified versions. I'm going to add about 33 grams, which is about 2 tablespoons, but again, I'm going to throw that on a food scale. So I'm at about 554 calories for that. I've got a fat, carb, and protein with this meal. I don't have veggies, but veggies for breakfast, let's be honest, is weird sometimes. I'm not trying to be perfect, so I'm not going to worry about it. And I'm just going to move on and plan my lunch. Cool. I'm going to do some chicken thigh. Perfect. Now, when you are selecting the options in the Myfitnesspal, make sure you select the one that you're actually using. There's going to be a lot of different options, so make sure you select the correct one. That's going to be very, very important. I'm going to do 6 ounces here. Excuse me. 200 calories, 33 grams of protein. Okay, that's cool. Let's get some veggies in. Broccoli, love it. Search. Cook chop. And also a reminder too, if you are weighing the food raw, make sure to select the raw version in the app. If you're weighing it cooked, make sure to select the cooked version in the app. I'm doing a raw cup here, so 1 cup raw. I'm going to do 2 cups. Gotta get those veggies in. Cool. I'm going to get a little healthy fat. I'm going to use a little olive oil as a topper. Some dressing. Tablespoon. Perfect. Awesome. I need some carbs. I love white rice. For the sake of speed of showing this example, I'm not looking for specific examples, guys, but I would be using again, just a reminder, I would be using the exact ones. I would be logging the exact ones that I'm using. Jasmine white rice, 1 cup. Can I change it into grams? I can't. So this is a great example of where I would look at the label and look at the equivalent of 1 cup. And that's probably going to be 150 or so, 170 grams or so of white rice. Just a reminder. I'm going to log that. So I've got my fats, I've got my carbs, I've got my protein, 556 calories. That's cool. I'm going to move on to dinner. And I'm going to get some salmon for dinner. Oops, I see it. Let's search. Cool. I have a 6-ounce salmon. So I'm looking at it. Protein, it's got some fat. Ooh, interesting. It's got some fat already, so I might not need to add any fat to this meal. So again, this is why planning and logging can be a great way to create awareness around what and how much you're eating. Got to get some veggies in. Let's do some asparagus. My pea will smell. Let's do six spears. Again, I would want to be doing the weight, but that's okay. I would look at the label, log it here. So I've got veggies, I've got protein, I need some carbs. Let's do potato. Oops. Let's do a yellow potato, 3 ounces. This is great. It's got the weight here. Let's say I do a little bit more than 5.3 ounces. Do 1.5 of those. Awesome. Log it in. Dinner's 475 calories. I've got 815 calories remaining. I'm going to leave this for now. This is cool. I know I'm going to have a snack later. I'm going to add it in. I know so far from the meals that I've logged that I'm a little short on calories and protein. So I'm going to add a little protein to this. Oh, you know what? Why don't we go ahead and do this? I've got a protein powder that I really enjoy drinking by itself. It's this IsoPure version here. This is more like a juice. It's fantastic. Let's see if it has it in here. It does. So cool. So I'm going to have 2 scoops of that. 40 grams of protein. That is killer. As a snack. You know, I really am going to have a banana with that as well too at some point. So again, here's a great example of like when you look up fruit and stuff, it might not have the weight of it, which is okay. Let's verify it. So you can see it has like medium. This one it has grams, which is awesome. So again, if you can throw it on a food scale and weigh it out, that's cool. But this is the case, like a fruit and veggies, not the worst case scenario if you have to estimate it. So I'm gonna do I'm gonna look for a large banana. Perfect. I'm gonna buy the big ones. I'm gonna log that in. So I've got about 514 calories remaining. Got my snacks in there. So I know I've got some stuff I can include to it. Now this is great here. This gives you an opportunity to scroll down to the bottom. You can click on nutrition, and this will show you your macronutrients that you've logged so far for the day. I'm going to click at the top here where it says macros. And that's going to break it down for me. So far I've got 172 grams of carbs, 60 grams of fat, and about 170 grams of protein. So I know I'm right around on my protein target, but I'm a little bit short on my fat and my carbs. So I'm going to add a little bit to that right now. I'm going to add, it looks like I'm mostly short on fat. So I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit to it. I'm going to close this up. If you remember correctly, I didn't add any fats with my dinner. So I'm going to add a little bit of olive oil here. Boom. 394 calories left. I'm getting pretty close. Let me add like one more little thing here, and I think we'll call that a day. I'm going to add, still a little bit short on the fat here, so maybe I'm going to bump up this a little bit here. We'll get a little extra fat and a little extra protein. Oops. From my salmon. So I'm going to have a little bit more. That is awesome. And I'm going to do that a little bit with my chicken as well too for my lunch. Cool. I'm about 2,100 calories. I'd like to be a little bit closer, but that is okay. I'm going to call it a day and log it there. You know what? I'm going to add one more thing here. Half an avocado. Log that in there. Perfect. Pretty close. 2,200 calories for the day. I can go back and search my nutrients, macros. Hey, it looks like I'm pretty close. I'm almost at my my percentages, a little bit short on carbohydrates, so if I wanted to go back and add to it, but I'm not going to stress it. Let's say weight loss and fat loss is my goal. Slightly under my numbers. I want to be as close as I can, so I avoid maybe getting too hungry or something like that, but this is close enough. It's part of the learning process, so I'm going to go ahead and call that a day. Complete that diary. Awesome, and it's logged up, and I am all set. Great thing about this as well too is you can save these meals as recipes or as meals you'd like to use later and use them at another point. But that is how you do it, guys. I hope this was helpful. We'll talk to you soon.